Chelsea 3, West Ham 2. I have never done a review for a UFC match before, so this is going to be an interesting one. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, that means talking about the 6th win in 7 games. Wow, mate, this is it's all new, brand new kind of stress, isn't it, compared to what it was before? So there are still concerns to talk about, 100%. There are still kind of worrying things, but the results are coming through at the moment, and that is ultimately the most important thing. And in the grand scheme of things, I've said things several times, in the grand scheme of things, we were having concerns for a long time before this. Do you know what I mean? And we were having concerns without getting results. So I'd much rather look at the concerns in the team juxtaposed by the fact that we are coming out with win after win after win, rather than just talking about concerns with the team and the fact that we're sinking in the Premier League, do you know what I mean, or whatever else it might be. But guys, before we get into it, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so I'm going to level. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I did tune in for the last 25 minutes, which is where the majority of the game happened, especially from a Chelsea perspective. I had a few glasses of red wine with the family last night, so I'm feeling a little bit worse for wear, but ultimately I had to come and talk about this game, So as ever, we're going to start with the starting lineup, and this is again where some of the concerns come in. It's one of those, isn't it? Like, this is just what we're going to see now. Like, there were a lot of changes from the team that beat Napoli, and ultimately the team that beat West Ham contained a lot of the players that beat Napoli as well. But this is part of the job for Rosinia, isn't it? It's like, you've got all these players, you've got to use all these players. And also, it's not even just from the Blueco element. Like, he'll still be figuring out who he can use in what situations, and do you know what I mean, and still trying to get the best out of some of the players that we've spent a few quid on. So the lineup was Robert Sanchez in goal, Malo Gusto at right back, Trevor Chalobah and Benoit Badiashile in the centre of defence. Yoro Hato makes a start at left back. Moises Caicedo in, so what I'm looking at from the sofa score is we played a 4-1-4-1. Moises Caicedo as a lone 6. Left wing, Alejandro Garnacho. Left attacking mid, Enzo Fernandez. Right attacking mid, Cole Palmer. Right wing, Jamie Gittins. And Liam Delap up top. So you can see it right there straight away. There's only a couple of players who kind of did themselves a huge amount of justice from that starting lineup, and it was Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. Malo Gusto had a terrible game. Trevor Chalobah and Benoit Badiashile does not look like a particularly strong centre-back partnership. Yoro Hato, Moises Caicedo did well. Alejandro Garnacho and Jamie Gittins both really struggled to impose themselves on this game. From what I've seen from the highlights and stuff as well, do you know what I mean? Specifically, Garnacho is he's just not having a good time at the moment, is he? And Cole Palmer had lots of moments, and I'm still hesitant to be too particularly critical of Cole Palmer's performances in general, because he's coming back from this big injury, and ultimately we know what he can do on his best day. Liam Delap up top, man. Yeah, right, okay. But yeah, Liam Delap up top, mate. He's not looking good, man. He's not looking good at all, is he? So it was a similar kind of story, almost exactly the same story as the Napoli game, to be completely honest. The team that was put out did not gel very well and was not particularly imposing, and ultimately cost us some goals. Now, before I get too much further into this, massive props to West Ham, because they played really, really well yesterday. We're going to get into the stats in a little bit, but they obviously came with a game plan, and that game plan worked. And so the first goal from West Ham was Jared Bowen going for a cross, but it went in, Zappacosta style against Karabag all those years ago. But at the end of the day, you take what you can get, don't you? But in particular, the second goal, Somerville, mate, that was a banger. The cutback from Wan-Bissaka into Somerville, and he hit it first time so sweetly. I could feel my teeth rotting. It was absolutely stunning. Great goal. And ultimately, they were 2-0 up at that point. So Yeah, that was just like I was keeping up with the game, although I didn't sort of tune in until the last 25 minutes. I was keeping up with the game, and I was just like, it's a shame. And in my head, I was just like, it was statistically unlikely. I said this on a stream I did with Kai on the Friday Night Blues the other night. I was like, mate, it is statistically unlikely that we're just going to keep winning games. Do you know what I mean? All teams have, drop at some point unless you're going on some sort of generational run. So before I get into the Chelsea side of the game, I'm going to take a little look at the subs that came on. It was Pedro Neto, who had a much better performance than he has done recently. Wesley Fofana, who was Reece James in disguise. Marc Cucurella with the goal that evened it out. João Pedro with the goal that got us back in the game and an assist to win it. And Reece James came on in the last 10-15 minutes to shore things up and had, for the amount of time he was on the pitch, had a reasonably good performance as well. So from the Chelsea perspective, the goals started coming when João Pedro came on the pitch. He was brought on basically at half-time, and that is now 4 in 3 goals and an assist, so 5 goal involvements in 3 games for João Pedro. Man is back. At the moment, do you know what I mean? We'll have to see. Obviously, this could be a purple patch of just a few games, but ultimately, João Pedro looks like a player reborn under Liam Rosenior, and it is so exciting just to see him on the pitch at the moment. He's obviously definitely going to start the Arsenal game. He just looks threatening, man, and what I loved about today is something I really liked about him at the beginning is he scored a different type of goal again. He got the header. Do you know what I mean? He got the header. So he really is just kind of amplifying that complete number 9 at the moment. Do you know what I mean? He can, he's really good at the connective play now. He's passing a lot quicker. He can score absolute bangers, and he can also score with his head, which is, weirdly enough, did that last time against West Ham as well. So far we think João Pedro loves a header against West Ham. Wesley Fofana, like I say, what an assist from Wesley Fofana, man. That was great work. Just bombing it up the right and crossing it in to the head of João Pedro. Absolutely stunning. The Marc Cucurella goal was the second goal. That was, I can't even remember who crossed that in. I think it was Gusto. Gusto crossed it in. Looked like it was just going to get to Liam Delap, but he had like a little coming together with the defender and it bounced off the bar. But Marc Cucurella just threw himself down into the path of that ball and got it in, which was absolutely awesome. And then the final goal was a thing of absolute beauty. Kind of like a slightly less good version of Somerville's West Ham goal, actually. So João Pedro, and I'll be completely honest, I expected João Pedro to cut in and try and score because that's what he's done a couple of times because he was up on that right side again, but instead he just made a cutback in what was quite a busy, packed defensive box, and first time hit, Enzo Fernandez sweeps it in, beautiful, 3-2. So the concerns is just the first half stuff at the moment, isn't it? The Liam Rosenior's starting 11s and the message that's going out to the team. So what Liam Rosenior is proving, especially compared to Enzo Maresca, is that his in-game management thus far has been absolutely on point. We are still only not even a month in to the Rosenior era, but at the same time, this has been a common factor now, hasn't it? The changes he's made has come on and affected games, even since the Arsenal game, do you know what I mean? When he brought on Alejandro Garnacho and he scored those 2 goals to ultimately keep us in the tie. So the concern is starting 11s are a bit worrying. Like I say, the one against Napoli was a bit scary with Reece James playing as centre-half and not really sure what's going on there. Ultimately, it looks like Mamadou Sarr is going to be coming back now, so maybe we see a little bit less of that kind of thing going on. But, so yeah, that's where the concerns are, isn't it? That's where the concerns are. The concerns seem to be the first half of the game is tactically we're not dominating enough. Well, we'll get into the stats in a minute. We're definitely dominating in some aspects, but we're not dominating the flow of play in the grand scheme of things. And we are relying on magic, intangible moments of passion, drive. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that. Like, that's brilliant, but that shouldn't be the thing every game, should it? Now, look, at the end of the day, I said it at the start, we had concerns before Rosenior came in, and the concerns we had or constantly losing us games or dropping us points. So I'm not being really negative here. Like I am absolutely buzzing that we are winning all these games, man. And ultimately, I do still see this is a really early stage of Liam Rosenior coming in. He's still playing 2 games a week at the moment, so he's got very little time to work with the squad. Obviously, now we are not in the Champions League playoff stages. That's probably really going to benefit us. But yeah, it's just that it's the obvious thing, isn't it? It's the obvious thing for everyone to see at the moment is we're not necessarily going into games, especially games against these teams that are really coming at us or making it difficult for us to play. We're not going in confidently dominating the flow of play, and we are relying on moments of magic and man management and in-game decisions ultimately to win us these games. I'll take that, do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, to have that already, available there is like, right, okay, Liam Rosinia has got the chops to make the right changes in the game, and also he's got the players feeling so good that they are able to push until the whistle goes. This is another thing that with Maresca that we kind of saw. Often the game would be lost half an hour before the game ended, and our players would just look like they weren't in it for the remainder of the game. But with Liam Rosinia, what we're seeing so far is we're fighting tooth and nail to the last minute. And this goal, was what? It was like 90 plus 3. Do you know what I mean? So literally, right up until the last minute, we're going. That's unbelievable. So we're going to take a little look at the stats, right? Let's have a little look at the stats just to see what they said about the game in general. So Chelsea in green, West Ham in blue. 71% possession, which is not even just Chelsea dominated the ball. Like, that's West Ham giving you the ball at the end of the day. That's, as much as it's always great to see a lot of possession, don't get me wrong, when it's that low and West Ham looked so good, that was their game plan at the end of the day. So that was more to do with them than us, I think. Now, these are the end game stats, obviously, and they really, really picked up through the second half. 2.7 expected goals from Chelsea, 1.12 from West Ham. So we just overperformed our XG and they overperformed theirs. But either way, based on what I've seen from the highlights and the stats going into the first half, for it to finish that way, that's really good. Big chances 4-2, love that. Total shots 14-11, love that. Goalkeeper saves 4-3. I didn't think there was a huge amount that Rob Sanchez could have done about the 2 goals that West Ham scored, to be honest. The Somerville one was just absolutely unbelievable, and the Jared Bowen cross, like maybe could have done a little bit more about that, but I don't look at that goal and go, Robert Sanchez was at fault for that goal. Robert Sanchez kept us in it a few times again, and is just continuing to prove that he is actually a great Premier League goalkeeper, so ultimately happy with that. Corner kicks 9-3, so ultimately, that kind of makes sense with the possession and stuff as well, and the total shots and the big chances. Do you know what I mean? We were having more corners than them, and we were getting up there a lot more often, which is good. Fouls 11-13. Based on how this game ended, actually really happy to see that, because it shows that discipline has been an issue. We've been talking about discipline being an issue for a little while, but maybe it's getting a little bit better. Passes, as you'd expect from the possession stats, 721-300. That is wild. Basically, every single time West Ham had the ball, they were trying to do something with it in terms of creating an attack or trying to create a goal. And obviously we do a lot of like pedestrian passing where we're trying to find opportunities and, go with the flow or whatever. 14 tackles apiece, so a solid defensive outing from both teams. 13-11 free kicks, 3-2 yellow cards and 1 red card for West Ham. So before we get into the West Ham stuff, because I want to talk about that, the UFC fight. Moises Caicedo keeps picking up yellows all the time, man. Now, for me, since the Arsenal game, way back when Maresca was here, not since Rosinia's been in, Moises Caicedo has not looked as solid. There was a point in this season we were looking at Moises Caicedo, and the argument and the conversation was he is arguably one of the best sixes in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think Moises Caicedo is absolutely brilliant, but I do feel like there's been a degradation in something since that game. He seems to be a little bit more wayward, a little bit less assured, and a bit he's not quite as clean as he was in the first half of the season. He's picking up yellow cards almost every game at the moment, and there's been talks about it. Like I think it was a press conference for this game or the last one. He was with Liam Rosinia in the press conference, and he kind of said, he's like, I've got an aggressive style, and do you know what I mean? I'm going to get yellow cards and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but this many, like that's 7 this season already, man. Like that's crazy amount. So, a little bit concerned about Moises Caicedo, and I'm not sure what was different under the Maresca. Maybe it was just because Maresca was a lot more tactically dogged in terms of telling players where to be and what to do in each situation, and maybe they're getting a bit more freedom under Rosinia and since obviously Callum McFarlane as well, but ultimately something has kind of regressed a little bit with Moises Caicedo. At the end of the day, I'm not saying he's not a good player, he's still an unbelievable player, and I 100% want to see him on the pitch as much as possible, but that's something I hope that we can get cleaned up in the near future. So let's talk about the UFC battle at the end of the game. Like, mate, what was this about, man? What was this? So I've just taken a little cutout from the game's events from SofaScore. So it started with Adama Traore kind of fouling Mark Cucurella, and then Mark Cucurella got up and kind of like squared up to him a little bit, and Adama Traore literally just grabbed him and threw him to the floor, like absolutely threw him to the floor. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? That's mental. But what you can see is he was given a yellow card for an argument. Because ultimately, then what happened is João Pedro got involved, right? João Pedro got involved and was like, mate, what you doing? Squared up to him a little bit. And the look in his eye, man. Mate, the look in his eye was deadly. It was a little bit scary. And then all of a sudden, he's like getting into it with João Pedro. And then it all kicks off. And then obviously the big thing that happened was Jean-Claire Todibo put his hands around João Pedro's neck and was rightly sent off for that, right? But there was so much more. Like, what isn't even mentioned here, I can't remember what his name was. I think it was Mavropanos, slapped Cole Palmer. Like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? What's going on? Like, obviously, this was just after the goal. It wasn't in, the direct aftermath of the goal, but it was in the next phase of play that happened. And all these things, I cannot believe that only Todibo got a red card here. Like, only Todibo got a red card. Like, am I mental? Like, was this really just not a big deal? Adama Traore threw Marc Cucurella to the floor and then, like, basically aggressively pushed João Pedro. Mavropanos slapped Cole Palmer, and yes, Todibo put his hand, but why was nothing else looked at? And why is, like, okay, yeah, João Pedro should be getting a yellow card there because he maybe instigated a couple of these moments as well, but at the same time, I'm like, am I out of my mind to think that there should have been 2 reds and a yellow at least? Do you know what I mean? Because the slap on Cole Palmer wasn't like, it didn't knock him to the floor or anything. Do you know what I mean? But it was it was violent conduct at the end of the day. And Traore, definite argument. Are you joking, mate? Nah, man. I maybe I don't understand the rules as well, man, because they do change a lot. Do you know what I mean? Especially pertaining to how cards and stuff work. But I think that Traore demonstrated violent conduct. I think that Mavropanos demonstrated violent conduct. Todibo obviously demonstrated violent conduct. I understand the yellow card for João Pedro because he was getting in a couple of people's faces and stuff, do you know what I mean? But how is he getting a yellow card for getting in people's faces and Traore is only getting a yellow card for literally throwing Marc Cucurella to the floor? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. That maybe it was just a case of like it was the end of the game and, I don't know. Anthony Tyler, was it? Anthony Tyler, the referee? I do like that they explained the decisions now, do you know what I mean? And it was quite funny as soon as he said whatever Todibo's number was, number whatever, put his hands around the throat of a number 20, which is João Pedro, violently, and everyone in the crowd was like, all the Chelsea fans were like, I was like, yes, because they knew what was coming. And it was just a silly thing, man. It was just a silly thing. And that was Traore's first game for West Ham, I believe, as well, his first appearance for them since he's joined. So, don't know, man. I would love to talk to you guys about that one in the comments and for you to let me know whether you think that was the cards that were handed out were justified. Traore for an argument, Pedro for an argument, and the red card for Todibo, which initially wasn't given because VAR made them look at that, obviously. So the Todibo one for me, 100%, yeah, that's definitely a red card. But for me, at least Traore should have been sent off as well, man, because the way he threw Marc Cucurella down to the ground, I was like, mate, that's outrageous. But ultimately, not hugely important in the grand scheme of things when what is important... God, my hair looks a mess today. When what is important is Chelsea 3, West Ham 2. 6 wins in 7. Since our game against Arsenal, we've won all of our games and we are going into the game against Arsenal with some hope and some belief. Do you know what I mean? If we win this game 1-0, it goes to penalties. If we win this game 2-0, we're through. Do I think we'll get a clean sheet? Nah, probably not, man. It's not really gone that way for us so far, has it? We are conceding silly goals sometimes. We're getting cut open. Napoli made us look really weak. West Ham, do you know what I mean? West Ham showed us with quality. But the thing is, West Ham's attackers look better than Arsenal's do at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Although, yes, Gyökeres got a goal against Leeds, I think it was. Obviously, they got quite a good result against them. But the majority of their goals are coming from their centre midfielders and defenders from set pieces. That's like just a thing. So we'll have to see what happens, man, but I'm really, really excited about this one. I will be doing a watch-along for this, actually. Me and Kai are going to do a watch-along for this one, so it's going to be fun, man. I'm hoping it's passionate. I'm hoping that at the end of the day, this thing that we're seeing with Liam Rosenior's teams, where they can keep going until the last minute and we can push and push and push and push and push. He's starting to know who his players are. João Pedro is in amazing form at the moment, which hopefully could be a real game changer for us, right? It's going to be a great game, and I can't wait to watch it. Nice one, guys. Thanks very much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you did, I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.